Hey everyone, this is Laura Gadenik with Laura Gadenik Therapeutic Astrology, and I'm here to give you the astrology for the weeks of December 25th through January 7th, 2024. I apologize for being late. Around the holidays, I've been home with my family and a little under the weather, so that's why I'm late. Before I get going, I just want to remind you to subscribe if you get anything from this channel, maybe leave a comment. Happy to answer your questions, and I'd love to also hear how the astrology is impacting you or how you're seeing it show up in your life. I will also be offering some maybe more of a therapist perspective with the astrology, as I'm a therapist in my daytime job. So I always try to provide a perspective that is trauma-informed and gives us options and choices and free will. So Monday the 25th, that was yesterday, we had Venus, goddess of love, beauty, connection, and joy, making a lovely trine to Neptune, a planet about healing and peace and dreams and vision. And really, this was a really good day for harmony in relationships, for peace, developing a greater sense of understanding with another person, forgiveness, maybe doing something more chill, low-key, but creative, where you can get in kind of more of a flow state zone. So it's kind of a nice energy yesterday. Tuesday, today, the 26th, we have a full moon in Cancer. So Cancer is actually the home sign of the moon. The moon is really comfortable in the sign of Cancer. So this should be, when a planet is in a sign that it's comfortable in, usually the more positive elements of that planet is kind of enunciated or it's made larger. So moon is feelings, emotions, comfort, care. And so, this might be a day where you have, you notice really big emotions, or you're having bigger feelings than usual, or something that you feel is coming to light, coming to full awareness. That's what full moons do, is something is illuminated or made brighter or bigger, just as the moon's light is growing with the moon cycle. When there's a full moon, it's like the moon's at its full light. So something about our emotions, emotional experience is coming to full light. So you might be a little more tender, a little more sensitive. It's a good day to care for another person, express care and love and affection. There might be family issues that are highlighted. Cancer is a sign about family and home. You might even be doing something in particular with your family or with your home. And also this full moon is in a trine with Saturn. So Saturn is a planet about stability, commitment, longevity. So this should feel really stabilizing and like there's maybe a plan in place, or like you're kind of noticing maybe emotions that of wanting to do something for the future or the long term, or kind of thinking about sustainability of something over the long term. So for some people, it might not bring out good, caring, loving emotions. It might bring out some uncomfortable emotions around family, especially if you grew up with a family that wasn't as loving, or where you didn't feel safe in your family or in your home. It could be highlighting maybe your emotional experiences as a child that were uncomfortable or sad even. So there could even be some sadness or grief there too. But I would say it's a good time to use this energy to think about and reflect on what you care about, who you care about, who's important to you, and letting them know. Wednesday, we have Mercury, which is currently retrograde, making a square to Neptune, which makes things kind of confusing and unclear and foggy, and there might be messiness or miscommunications or misunderstandings abound. And at the same time, Mercury is making a conjunction with Mars, the god of war and cutting and severing. So And we've been feeling this for a couple of days, probably ever since Mercury re-entered Sagittarius. That was like, I think on maybe last Friday or Saturday. But so this isn't necessarily new, but so you might have noticed this kind of sense of confusion, maybe like this sense of wanting to take action, wanting to do something. That's Mars. Mars is a planet about action and energy and motivation. So we've been wanting to go somewhere, to do something, to maybe make a decision or take an action, but being really unclear of where to go, what to do, what's the right thing to do. So that's kind of something to, that you might have been experiencing. There might be conflicts coming up, or, pointing the finger, or attacking. You might have some anger come up. There might be the instinct to attack, but recognize that you might not know who you're pointing the finger at, or what to be angry at, or who your opponent is, and also that you probably don't have all the information about the situation. So Neptune is kind of this nebulous planet that can make things really unclear and make us so that we're missing pieces of information, missing things sometimes. So it's always good to acknowledge your feelings, regardless of whether you have all the information, you still have the feelings, but then be as logical as you can during this time. Really parse out what is a fact and what might be a story that you're making up. And even writing it down, like, this is what I know to be true, and these are things I don't know, and I don't know to be true. And that's okay. I don't have to know everything right now, and I'm not going to, right? So it's really good to use logic at this time. And another way this could kind of manifest or show up is thinking about what you want to fight for and what vision or ideal is important to you, like what it moves you emotionally to want to fight for it, but not necessarily taking action on that right now, because Mercury is retrograde. So we're in a time of reflection, reviewing, thinking things over, going back over something. It's not a time to necessarily take action on this thing that's important to you, or this vision that is cultivating, but it's more of a time to make a plan, maybe, or to make note of, or to think about, contemplate. There could be some mental health struggles at this time. Mercury, planet of the mind and communication, retrograde. Mercury retrograde, sometimes it can just bring out some more difficult aspects of the planet's significations. And then, Neptune can be not only confusing and foggy, but can bring up some sadness or senses of despair, or grief, or longing, or just kind of this sense of disappointment that the world isn't what it should be. And so it can really bring up, despair, I think, is a really good word, or also overwhelm. So once again, being mindful of the stories that we're telling ourselves. Is it true, with a capital T? Are those stories true? Probably not completely, right? But yeah, during this time, because of that sense of sadness and despair, and there is a lot to be sad about right now. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of, people dying in Gaza, and war and climate change, and there's so much going on that, it makes sense that it would naturally overwhelm us. And so I think acknowledging those emotions is really important, creating space for them, and maybe finding a way to move them through any sort of ritual or practice, or even talking to a friend, reaching out to someone. It's a really good time to reach out to someone, find that support. And also, if you know someone who's struggling right now, it's a good time to reach out to them, be the person to offer support. So just wanting to kind of encourage community at this time. And on the same day, this is still Wednesday, the 27th, the sun makes a really supportive trine to Jupiter, a planet about faith and peace and confidence and wisdom. And so this is also a good day, good time to, ask for help, reach out to others, practicing radical honesty. Even if it's about the not knowing, even if there is a conflict with someone, you could even say, like, this is the story I'm telling myself about you or about the situation. And I don't know what's real or what's true or what's not true, but these are the feelings it's invoking. Even like micro honesty or micro truths about your experience could be useful. But Sun trine Jupiter is also a time to lean on any sort of faith practices you might have, or opening up to a new or broader perspective that maybe something, the way things are going right now in your personal life, maybe there's a broader reason for it, or some greater truth behind it, or some greater reason that we can't even access at this time. We don't know why it's happening the way it is right now, but maybe there's, next month or in 6 months or in a year, there might be something that we're meant to go through right now that we're trying to kind of birth from. So this Sun trine Jupiter is also significant because Jupiter stations direct, starts moving forwards again on Saturday. And so that feels like, there's going to be a turnaround coming up on Saturday, starting on Saturday at least, a turnaround of faith, of fortune, of opportunity, of a higher perspective taking form. So I think that's really positive. So Thursday the 28th is when Mars makes the exact square to Neptune. So once again, Mars is a planet about action, motivation, doing things, and Neptune is nebulous, confusing, foggy. So this might be a time that you are unclear of how to act if you don't know what your convictions are. Like, what do you care about? What's important to you? Where do you want to go? It's a time you don't know. I don't know. It's a time to be a little confused, and that's okay. The same day, Venus in Scorpio makes a really supportive sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. Venus is goddess of love, connection, beauty. Pluto likes to dig beneath the surface, likes to find the truth of the matter, likes to get real and honest. So this is a good day for honest and deep conversations and connections with loved ones, really getting into touch with your values, like what's valuable to you, and maybe the ways you want to be cared for or express care. Really good time for deeper talks, connections, intimacy. Okay. Also, if you hear any noise outside of my video, I apologize. I'm at home with my family, and I have nieces and nephews, and they might be toddling about making some noise. So, okay, Friday the 29th, Venus heads into Sagittarius. This might feel immediately less heavy. Venus in Scorpio has had us go through some intense stuff in relationships. We've had to be really radically honest with Venus and Scorpio in our relationships that might have been really uncomfortable. We might have had to be vulnerable, more vulnerable than we might normally be, or it might not be as comfortable, right? Venus in Sagittarius is more lighthearted, fun, easygoing. So the way we have fun and connect with people will feel lighter. It's going to feel brighter, easier, more adventurous. But, when Venus enters Sagittarius, she's going to immediately be approaching a square with Saturn. So it might feel a little, not quite as free and exciting and lighthearted as it will after Venus finishes the square with Saturn. So that'll be after January 1st. But generally speaking, Venus in Sagittarius is lovely and is going to be really nice and bring some joy to the parts of our charts that contain Sagittarius. So she might have to face some responsibilities first as she comes up with this square with Saturn. And once again, Venus square Saturn, that's going to be on Monday, January 1st. And so that might look like having to do something responsible before having fun, or instead of having a good time, you have to like go to work, or something you committed to weeks ago, you have to do this thing that you might not really want to do. And you might even find that there might be some boundaries that are being set in relationships that should help, that should be supportive, provide some structure, so that, it might feel a little bit like a bummer potentially. But overall, I think it's going to be really useful and helpful, especially because Venus in Sagittarius is in a sign that is Jupiter ruled, and Saturn in Pisces is in a sign that is Jupiter ruled, and Jupiter is stationing direct, like I mentioned. So Jupiter has been retrograde for the past several months. Jupiter stations direct on Saturday, December 30th. So this feels like there's going to be a turnaround, or in a sense of moving forward with fortune, with opportunity, and with the houses in our charts that Jupiter rules. So whichever houses that have Pisces or Sagittarius on the cusp, it might feel like these house topics, things are finally moving forwards again. Things are progressing in some way. And there's a change in fortune around these themes or topics. So I think this Venus square Saturn isn't going to be as much of a bummer as it might otherwise be. So I think that's positive. Okay, so that is the astrology for the next couple weeks. Sorry, once again, this video was late. I hope this was useful. Please reach out if you're interested in a consultation and looking at how this astrology impacts you more specifically. Otherwise, just a reminder to like, comment, subscribe, helps the channel to grow. Otherwise, I'll be back in a couple weeks with another astrological update, and I hope you have a wonderful new year.